Behind two trucks. Oh boy. A motorcyclist's nightmare, if you will. All right, folks. We are going to attempt to do this ride and record it with audio and also a visual understanding of the Triumph Street Twin. So we're going to head over to Harris Lake. I'm doing a little mental health ride today, and I'm also looking to give some impressions of the Street Twin. Stay tuned. So for this particular 2022 Triumph Street Twin review, after watching a lot of videos and seeing other people do reviews on motorcycles, I realized that if I'm going to do a review on the Street Twin, it has to be more of a review of what it's like to have it, what it's like to own it, what it's like to ride with it. I would hate to do any sort of review that just talks about the numbers that you can get online. I feel like that's kind of a little bit of a waste. You're not going on YouTube to hear, just to listen to someone talk about things that you can look up when you when you get home on the computer. I feel like it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So this is really going to be a review / impressions video of this bad boy right here, and hopefully give you a little scenic route as well. Okay, that's what we're doing. Great. Now here are the caveats to this review. Part of it is this bike is not stock, so I'm not really reviewing a stock motorcycle, a stock Triumph Street Twin. You could probably hear that it's not stock either. In addition, this is I'm gonna do my best to talk about the bike when it was stock, but also talk about what it's like currently and the limitations of the stock bike, and along with some of the things you can do to a Triumph Street Twin and other bikes too. So let's get started. First thing I would say, let's talk about the handling. So handling wise, this is a pretty nimble bike. It's, I guess, in the range of bikes. It's not quite a leader bike, right? Meaning, 1,000 cc, and it's not yet a 350 or 125, 250, sort of 650. So it has some low torque to it. to get it through. But the handling is pretty nice. These are still the stock handlebars, so these handlebars have been fine. I'm actually going to be changing them out just because I want a slight cafe look to it. So I'm going to be using the British Customs retro bar for this. But the handling is pretty smooth when you're turning into a corner. You'll probably see coming up because I'm about to make a right. When you turn into a corner, it feels just fine. It's smooth. In regards to the handling and the throttle is a ride-by-wire system, also very smooth. I think Triumph does a good job with all of their bikes. What is happening up here? Okay, but they do a good job with the throttle-by-wire system and the acceleration on the bike. It's not snatchy, so you can easily go on and off the throttle without much issue. I was gonna make a turn, but I gotta stop. Okay, not making a right, and we're off. So it's you can get through anything in this bike. You can blow through corners. You can speed through dense traffic situations. It's not a problem with this bike. If you're over in Cali, and where you can, lane filter and lane split and do all that kind of stuff, the bar width and the type of handlebars that come naturally stock on the bike, perfect for that too. Now, what I didn't like about the stock bike were the little bunny ears. That was not for me. So those were immediately changed, without a doubt. Those looked a little silly. Now let's talk about these brakes. So the brakes, I think, are one of the major challenges with this. So this bike, comes around somewhere in the 9,000 range, right? Maybe a little bit less than 9 plus tax, dealer fees, all the good stuff. Probably somewhere around 9,000. And one of the things that probably creates that price, which is a little bit cheaper than some other bikes, are the brakes. They're Brembo brakes, but they're not the best. Actually, in fact, I think I'm about to hit 10,000 miles, and I do plan on changing the pads to some different pads. It's just not, as we can see right here. I'm going to do a little footless stop, see how it is. And it's possible, right? Footless stop means I can stop where I don't feel like I need to put my feet down. I can just stop, and it's a lot more, it's comfortable to stop and not feel like the bike is going to lean you over right away. And the acceleration is amazing. So there's a lot of low torque there to get ahead and to move up. The strategy is usually to move up away from traffic as much as possible, so that you can get away from all the cars. The exhaust sound on the bike is also pretty good stock. It's not bad. I ended up switching out the stock exhaust for Moto slash cut, the Bedlam pipes. Part of the reason is, although there's a classic look to the two pipes coming in behind you, I don't know, I just wanted something different, and also I wanted it black too. So I ended up switching that out with the X pipe eventually, with the Moto X pipe along with the Bedlam pipes. But the sound was still good on stock. So if you're not interested in doing any of that kind of stuff, the sound is just fine. It's just I realized that the weight of the cans back there it was a lot. It was, well, I mean, I wouldn't say a whole lot, but it was enough where I now feel a difference when riding. As soon as I took those off, it was a big difference for me. It's not even close. And so there's the seat, right? So the stock seat was not bad. The stock seat is not awful. But I ended up, and I talk about this in all the mod videos, the mod video I did, but I ended up switching it out for a Craft and Atelier seat, which is very plush, and I could sit on that thing. I could sit on this thing all day. But the stock seat isn't bad. It has a little dip to it. It probably is. That stock seat maybe even be better for a pillion, a passenger, but it just wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. All right, here comes the beautiful part of the ride. I'm hoping I don't get rained on today. See, what else do we got here? So we talked about the seat, the fuel. I think it's what 3.2 gallons. It's fine. I can get, if I'm not going crazy, which is usually, I can get close to 200 miles if I'm really and truly. Now also this is tuned differently. I've tuned this myself, but I can get about 180, 200 miles on this thing. The range is going to vary the way you ride and your mileage, the fuel mileage. I can get about 60 miles per gallon too. If I'm going on a long ride, my gas mileage is going to be better, and it's going to be closer to the 200 mile range. The city mileage around the city, I mean, that probably goes down probably about 5 miles per gallon for me and the way I ride. And so that affects the range. I probably see myself in my 50-mile commute to work every day. I probably see myself getting maybe 140 miles to 150. That could be a tuning issue. So if that's a tuning issue, if you think that's a tuning issue, let me know. I would love to know how to better get a more aggressive tune while still saving on the miles per gallon. Now, in terms of longer rides, I've taken this from Durham, North Carolina. This is another video up there. Well, stick with the road. To Washington, D.C. and Maryland. So I had plenty of time on the back roads and the old highways on this bike. But what I would say is that this is not, I mean, for me, again, this is my review. I'm not the most comfortable riding this on the highway. This is not I wouldn't call this a highway bike. I would probably, which is the reason why I'm in the market for like an Indian dark horse, Chief dark horse, in the next year or two or three. But I would opt for either a leader bike with a better seat in terms of speed, torque, horsepower, just to be able to get in, get out of the highway, than a Triumph Street Twin. Even with the modifications I've done, it's not going to change the bike. It's still, I would refer to more of a street bike. Now, it has the ability to be on the highway for sure, but I wouldn't necessarily, I mean, I just wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. For me, but that's my opinion. But long rides, in terms of the comfort, the handlebars make it very comfortable. So you're not really going to have an issue with comfort, in my opinion, if you're choosing the Street Twin. Or even the Speed Twin, right? It's sort of what they call it now. They've moved it from the Street Twin to the Speed Twin 900. So whatever bike you choose within that realm, the seating position is neutral, more or less. There's a slight push forward, very slight, but not much. I did think speaking about comfort and riding, the pedal, the clutch pedal on the left side, I feel like it was a little short in terms of the width. So I ended up changing it out to be a little bit longer, or a little bit wider, I should say, depending on how you're looking at it. I don't know, that felt a little odd. Felt a little odd to me. For my hands, which are I have very long fingers, but I don't have necessarily the biggest hands in the world, but my fingers are really long. I put grips, Trip Machine grips on these, just so that the throttle and the handlebar can feel a little bit thicker, give me a little bit more control. But again, that's just more of a personal thing. All the controls here work just fine. The turn signals are self-canceling. I don't really have an issue with that. Some people do. It's not really a big of a deal. If you can't remember to turn your turn signal off, I don't really know what to tell you. And the gauge that's over here, it's not a dual clock system, it's a single. I always prefer the dual clock, and to be honest, I'm secretly, or not so secretly because I'm telling you all, looking to see if there's a way to make the single gauge a dual clock system. If you know how to do that, please comment down below, because I would love to know if someone's done that on the Street Twin, because that would be pretty awesome. I am looking to make a change to the clock. If I have to keep it as a single, I want to do a Moto Gadget Chrono Classic gauge on that. That would be amazing if I could. So that'll probably be sometime mid to end 2023. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. Talk quickly about the lighting. So the lighting is pretty awful. I mean, I'll be honest. Unless you really like the halogen light bulbs. If that's your thing, then I guess it's fine. But this 2022 stock light was trash. If you're in like New York City, you'll probably be just fine. But if you're, I moved here to Durham, so if you're in Durham, certain parts of Durham especially, it's going to be dark. So this halogen light is not really going to be doing it for you. I'll tell you that right now. So I ended up changing it's an adaptive headlight, along with LED, of course, and I used some Moto Gadget LED and British Customs rear LED not plugs, what am I saying? Indicator lights. So that was the adjustment I needed to make, because I needed it to look a little less like bunny ears, and for it to be LED. Otherwise, I think it would just be silly. The stock tires, I think they're Pirellis. They're okay. They're not bad. I got some Avon Roadsters. Those have been fine. I may change again, but I think those have been fine. I feel like there's a little bit of a slip in the back, but it could be a me thing. And the suspension is meh. I'm about 195, 5'11", 195. And I realized after having a couple pillions on the bike, I like raising the suspension a little, the preload a little bit. So you can adjust the preload, but that's about it. So that'll eventually be a Showa or Olin's shop change. In addition to the lighting, actually, something I'm also going to add on, I got these co-lights, so I'll probably have put up a review at some point in the next month or two. There's a lot of things to record, so I might be a little off on when things will be coming out. But I'm planning on adding some co-lights, I like to call them co-lights. That's the company name. These driving light pods. I got 2 of them to put in the front, right underneath the headlight. So I'm gonna try and work on that. I have a friend of mine, Danny, that we're gonna try and get creative. Maybe do a little 3D print action, and that'll be on the tube too. So otherwise, I think last thing I'll talk about, if I can remember anything else, last thing I'll talk about is just maintenance. Very easy to maintain. This, probably the Royal Enfield 2, those are all bikes that are pretty easy in terms of the how-tos, the regular maintenance schedule, following the manual. I mean, I've done a lot of the things myself. I had I forgot if it was a 600-mile service, but I went to, I'm not trying to badmouth anybody. Dealers are just trying to make their money, so it is what it is. But the 600-mile service was frickin' $400+. I think it might have been close to $500. Absolutely madness. So a lot of some of these service intervals you can probably do yourself. Oil change, all of you can probably do this yourself, right? Some of the checks that you can do, you can get the Triumph service plug, and check a lot of things yourself. Now, I have a 10,000 mile service coming up, and although a lot of these things I can do, I may just save up some of the coin. Oh, that's a big hawk. I may save up some coin and just have them give a look over, but I'm gonna go to a local shop, and I'm not going to go to the dealer, because Jesus, that 600 mile, I think it was like the first one, the 600 mile, that was a little aggressive. I was not planning on shelling out close to $500 for a service. I just was not. So just be prepared for that, for you Triumph folks out there. If you've had a Triumph before, and you've probably, you've experienced that already. If you're new, especially new to the motorcycle game, careful with that. And especially if you're someone who likes to tinker with the bikes, like that's just my thing. So with the warranty, the warranty wasn't much of a plug for me, but just knowing that, each service could be $400 to $500 is at least where I got the first one. That was the initial thing to tell me, hell no, I'm not, I'm not coming back here unless it's an emergency. So there's that. Ooh, look at that. What is that? Harris Lake, folks. my favorite places. So I'm probably gonna end this impression, Triumph Street Twin impression here. So I got this in gravel. Got this in 2021. Right, it's 2023 now, today's date. So I've had this is now going on 2 years, and it's been amazing. It's my favorite. I will never trade this in. I will never sell this for something else. I'm just not. This is the baby. This will be here forever. So Triumph makes very reliable bikes. I'm sure the Euro 5, all the Euro 5 stuff is driving tinker folks like me a little crazy, but you know, there are always ways around these things. What is happening and why are we going so slow? I tell you, go a little bit out of Durham and everyone acts like Chapel Hill folks. So if you're looking for a street twin, hit me up. We could talk about it. If you already have one, if there's something that you're noticing that's a little off about things that I've said, go ahead and start a conversation. If there are things that you've added to the bike that have helped you with fueling, with exhaust sounds, with the maintenance, definitely share with the group. I'm always looking to learn something new. Otherwise, thanks for listening, folks. Like, leave a comment, subscribe. All that helps the channel out so I can get to the miraculous number of 1,000 and what is it, 4,000 public watch hours, all that good stuff. So even if you're just passing by, just give it a like, give it a watch. If you have any else to add, start a conversation at the bottom. But for now, I'm gonna leave you all here. Definitely not going to Raleigh. I'm gonna head to Harris Lake, have a little meditative time, and I will see you all on the next one. All right, folks. So this is the end of our journey. We are here at Harris Lake. So like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff helps. This is a little look at the bike. It's a little bit dirty, so excuse me. But this is the Triumph Street Twin. So see you all next time.